My name is Belinda Elizabeth, and I'm 29 years old. In sound, the worst distortions aren't the ones that shriek. They're the subtle ones, the hairline hum you stop noticing because it's always been there. You don't hear the damage until you mute the track, and the silence feels like a clean ocean. Alex has been my friend since kindergarten, the kind of friend who'd hold a boom mic over my head in the rain at a college film shoot because the director liked the ambient drizzle. He asked me to be his best woman. I said yes before he finished the sentence. We booked the suite at the Bellagio, dinner at a steakhouse with waiters who carve prime rib like surgeons, and a table at a club that cost more than I paid in rent the first half of my 20s. 8 of us, all paid up. The itinerary looked like a well-built song. Opener, rise, drop, catharsis. Ethan knew about this weekend for months. 28, handsome in the way a good haircut can solve most problems, a product manager who speaks in roadmaps and sprints. He's charming at first pass, like a chorus you can hum by the second repetition. But there'd been a hum under us for a while, a buzz I had learned to filter out. Little digs, engineered silences, an obsessive interest in what his ex was doing, wrapped in disdain. Her name was Tessa Williams. According to Ethan, she was manipulative, theatrical, and obsessed with him, his cross to bear. The story had so many updates, her promotion, her downgrade boyfriend, her new car, that you'd think we co-parented a dog. I told myself it was just leftover noise. I told myself a lot of things. The week before Vegas, I reminded him of the dates. He watched me the way you watch a fuse you've already lit. You're really leaving the weekend before my product demo? His smile didn't reach his eyes. I've told you for months, Ethan. Everything's paid for. Alex's family. So his bachelor party matters more than my career? It's 3 days, I said, not a relocation to Mars. He shrugged, but it was a blade. Okay, then I'll make it easy. If you go to Vegas, I'm calling Tessa. I blinked. What? He examined a phantom speck on the countertop, casual as cleaning a glass. You leave me alone. I won't be alone. I'll call her. We both know where that goes. Silence can be as loud as a snare hit. Mine cracked through the room. This was the hum unveiling itself as siren. You're threatening to cheat on me, I said, not a question. Don't be dramatic, he said, which is a funny thing to say while detonating someone you claim to love. I'm telling you consequences. I heard myself speak before I planned the words. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. His head snapped up. Surprise flickered into offense. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm going, I said, clearing plates that suddenly felt like props in a play I hadn't cast. And it means choices have echoes. I left his apartment with my throat tight and my hands steady. I sat in my car with the engine off until my breath matched the wipers clicking against a light rain. I replayed the conversation and heard what was always there. Control dressed up as concern, jealousy packaged as love, Tessa as the boogie woman he needed to keep me off balance. Back in my place, I made tea. I didn't drink and opened my laptop. I typed Tessa Williams and added the company Ethan had ranted about. LinkedIn first. Smiling photo. Mutual connections I didn't expect. Instagram next. Quiet. Mostly photos of trail runs and nieces with frosting on their noses. Normal in a way that didn't fit the monster he'd sold me. I thought about the things he'd called her. I thought about projection, about how sometimes the person telling the story needs you to hate their villain because they're terrified you'll look at the narrator. I wrote a message and deleted it, wrote another and left it simple. Hi, you don't know me. I'm dating Ethan. I think we should compare notes. Her reply landed like a quickening heartbeat. I wondered when you'd reach out. I can meet tomorrow. Neutral ground. The Kiln, 6 p.m. I stared at the screen. A part of me wanted to forward the message to Ethan and watch him scramble. Another part, the part that keeps backups of backups and carries gaffer tape because it fixes almost anything, said, document. Don't warn. Stay steady. Alex called to confirm flight times. I told him what happened in 3 sentences. He was quiet long enough that I thought we'd been disconnected. B, he said finally. I love you. I'm so sorry. You still coming? I am. And Ethan? I don't know. The truest 2 words I'd said all week. The next day, I worked a session for an indie director who filmed grief like it was weather. I layered room tone beneath a kitchen scene and felt very small and very awake. At 5:50 p.m., I walked into the Kiln, a brewery that makes everything taste like autumn. Tessa was already at a corner table, hair in a no-nonsense knot, posture like she'd taught her spine to tell the truth. "Belinda?" she asked, standing. Her voice wasn't syrupy or sharp. It was tired. The kind of tired you wear after shouting into wind. "Thank you for meeting me," I said. "I was you," she said gently. "It helps to know the shape of the maze." We ordered 2 lagers, and, for the first time since Ethan said the word consequences, I felt something like safety. Tessa pulled out her phone, opened a folder labeled EW, and slid it across the table. It was a museum of patterns, texts that began with "We need to talk" and ended in "You'll regret ignoring me," midnight calls, stacking into missed call skyscrapers, a photo of a Thanksgiving porch light, and a shadow that shouldn't have been there. She scrolled to a message from last week. "Saw you at the coffee shop. Cute. I could be persuaded to forgive you." No response from her. 3 follow-ups from him hours later, both dramatic and transactional. "He told me you were manipulative," I said. The words tasted like lint. She gave a small, humorless laugh. Projection is a hell of a drug. My chest hurt in a new way. Not sharp, spacious, like a room I'd been crammed into widening all at once. "I invited him to set a boundary for you," she said. He heard a dare. We talked for 2 hours. Not about love, which is louder in absence, but about facts. About how our friends had been tested and sorted into those who believed noise and those who demanded signal. About optics, how he needed to control what people thought so he could avoid who he was. When the check came, I reached for it, and she let me, an odd grace. "You're still going to Vegas," she said as we stood. "Yes." "Good," she said. "Be where joy is. He hates that." I don't know if it was impulse or clarity, but the words landed without wobble. "Come with us." Tessa blinked. What? Not as a trick, as a witness. As proof to myself that his script isn't the only one. "We have a spare bed. I'll clear it with Alex." She studied me, thoroughly, like a runner checking terrain before a sprint. "He'll explode." "Probably," I said, "but this isn't about him." She considered, then nodded once. "I'll pay my share, and I won't hide." I texted Alex on the sidewalk. He responded in seconds. "If she's kind to you, she's family. Send her the split." I sent Tessa the details. She sent me a screenshot of her booked ticket 15 minutes later. Back home, my phone lit with Ethan's first message since the ultimatum. "Hope your trip is worth losing me over." The old me would have pleaded, explained, negotiated with a fire alarm. I set the phone face down like a boundary. In bed, the city hummed, and I listened for that old hairline buzz. It wasn't gone. Habits don't vanish like that. But something else was louder now. The clean ocean under the noise. The part of me that would not be engineered. Vegas glittered on the calendar like a dare. I closed my eyes and, for the first time in a long time, slept all the way through. Airports at dawn feel like confessions. Everybody stripped down to carry-ons and coffee, moving toward whatever they can't avoid. I met Alex by the security line, both of us in hoodies and that giddy, underslept mood that makes even bad fluorescent lighting look like possibility. "You okay?" he asked, eyes searching my face the way only someone who's known your baby teeth and your graduation gown can. "I will be," I said, which was the truth and also an ambition. Tessa texted from the other terminal. "Gate B12, on time. See you at baggage claim." She'd added a little suitcase emoji, which made me smile, like she was making space for an ordinary gesture in a story that had too many capital letters. On the plane, I set my phone to airplane mode and the world obliged, shrinking to the purr of engines and the quiet choreography of strangers. I tried to nap and failed, skimming the in-flight magazine's article about desert constellations. Somewhere over Utah, I pictured Ethan's jaw when he read, "Don't do anything I wouldn't do." The old ache tried to return, an obedient dog trotting back to heel. I let it pass. Pain doesn't vanish. Sometimes it just realizes it's not in charge anymore. At McCarran, Vegas introduced itself with slot machines that chimed at exhausted men in business casual. The whole city felt like a dare standing on tiptoe. I spotted Tessa by the carousel, jeans, white tee, a duffel, slung crossbody. She looked like someone who could run a mile on a bad day and make it look like a walk. "Belinda," she said, a real smile this time. "Welcome to the world's sparkliest test," I said. We hugged briefly, polite, careful, like shaking hands with a new instrument. You don't know its range yet, but you respect that it has one. The rest of our crew rolled in, Alex's brother Jake, 2 college friends with matching dimples, Brandon, who never met a toast he didn't turn into a TED Talk, and Nora, our chaos logistics queen. They were loud in the loving way of people who've spilled drinks on your couch and helped you move your couch. Family you found. Introductions spun and landed. Tessa didn't audition. She didn't overshare or underexist. She laughed when things were funny and asked questions like she'd rather listen than talk. When Nora learned the basic outline, that Tessa was the ex and that I had chosen kindness over spectacle, she gave me a small, conspiratorial nod. Later, she pulled me aside near a row of blinking penny slots. "You're sure this won't boomerang?" she asked. "It already did," I said. "This is catching it." We dumped our bags at the Bellagio. Suite big enough to echo, view like a screensaver you'd be embarrassed to admit you loved. The curtains made a sound like a soft yes. Tessa chose the extra bedroom at the end of the hall. I took the one with the ridiculous chaise that begged for the kind of rest people in movies are always having time for. "Ground rules?" Tessa asked from the doorway, practical. "Fun first," Alex said immediately. "Kindness second. Hydration third. Nobody gets left alone in a club, and if anyone gets married by an Elvis impersonator, they have to tell their mother themselves." "Noted," Tessa said, deadpan. She and Alex liked each other instantly, I could tell. Two people allergic to unnecessary drama who'd nevertheless built impressive resumes living through it. We spent the afternoon doing the tourist parade. A late lunch that thinly disguised itself as dinner, laughter that sharpened into something medicinal, the bell of a glass hitting a table that made me think of studio chimes I'd sampled once to score a scene about a woman who left a man and found her name again. I watched Tessa become a person in our group, rather than a plot point in Ethan's narrative. The difference felt like clean oxygen. My phone shivered alive after airplane mode. 37 messages. Ethan's name was a column of urgency. "So it's like that?" "Answer the phone. You're making a mistake. If you push me, don't blame me for the fallout." Then a pivot designed to hook the soft parts. "I'm scared, okay? Before the demo. I needed you here." I held the screen in my hands like a fragile weapon. Nora, reading my face the way only women read each other when one is pacing emotional ledges, squeezed my shoulder. "You don't have to reply," she said. "I know," I said, surprised to hear that I truly did. I typed, "I'm safe. I'll talk when I'm back." Then I deleted it, not because it wasn't kind, but because I didn't owe a rope to someone who'd learned to pull. Instead, I put the phone face down and returned to the table where my life was happening without him. That night, before we dressed for the club, Tessa knocked on my door. "Quick thing," she said. She leaned on the doorframe like she'd practiced looking calm for emergencies. "Ethan cares more about what people think happened than what happened." "I know," I said. "He's already writing the director's commentary." She exhaled. "He'll smear. He'll tell your friends you're unstable. He'll make me the siren who lured you away, so he doesn't have to say you walked." "Thanks for the forecast," I said. "I'll carry an umbrella." She half smiled. "You're funny when you're terrified." "I'm trying on brave like a jacket," I said. "I think it fits." We met the crew in the living room, dressed like we were playing heightened versions of ourselves. Sequins where I'd wear cotton, lipstick where I'd wear chapstick. Vegas has a way of insisting everyone turn their volume up. We obliged. At the club, the music was engineered to rearrange your blood. Lights kept secrets and then betrayed them. At our table, Brandon clinked a glass and delivered a speech so heartfelt the server applauded. Jake produced a Sharpie and a stack of napkins like a magician. "For posterity," he said, and wrote team boundaries in block letters on one, then handed it to me. "Not petty," he added quickly, "a thesis statement." I laughed, a sound with relief in it. Tessa held the napkin between two fingers like a flag. In the diamante roar of the room, I felt something settle. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about him. It was about deciding in public the thing I'd finally decided in private. Love without respect isn't love. Love that threatens isn't love. Love that needs you smaller to feel big isn't love. "Group photo," Nora shouted over a drop that rearranged the floor. "Everyone who has ever been haunted by someone else's narrative, huddle up." We clustered. Alex's arm across my shoulders, Jake's ridiculous grin, Tessa in the middle because she insisted she didn't need to hide. The napkin raised like a gentle protest sign. The flash popped. A stranger at the next table whooped. The DJ announced somebody's birthday, and 500 people pretended to know them. I checked the photo. It was chaos and joy and evidence of something good. I didn't send it. Not yet. Not because I was afraid of Ethan's response, but because I didn't want him to own my timing. I set the phone down and let the night hold its shape. We danced until our calves complained. We shouted along to a song nobody would admit they loved. We drank water like it was holy. Back at the suite, the strip glittered like a dare we'd already won. I took off my shoes and my earrings and the last of my apology. Tessa knocked again, soft. He texted me, she said, holding up her phone. The screen glowed with Ethan's name, a number she hadn't blocked because records matter. Is she with you? Are you laughing at me together? You're pathetic. 3 more messages pinged in while we stood there, like hail starting. Optics, I said. Optics, she echoed. I thought about sending the photo now, drawing the line in neon. But I could feel a more dangerous kind of power in waiting, choosing the moment that was ours, not his. Tomorrow, I said. We'll send it tomorrow. Not to hurt him, to stop letting him define the story. Okay, Tessa said, tomorrow. She turned to go, then paused. Belinda? Yeah? Thank you for not making me your weapon. The words found something inside me and unknotted it. Thank you for not letting him hire you as one. We slept like people who had finally put the heavy thing down. Morning slid in with a polite knock from the sun on the skyline. Coffee, laughter, a chorus of "my feet hate me," and a schedule we didn't have to keep. We claimed a quiet table by the window for breakfast, the city winking below. Jake held up the napkin, now a little wine-stained, and said, "Ready?" My phone buzzed with a new message from Ethan, a last grasp disguised as grace. "I'm sorry. Come home and we can fix this." I looked at Tessa. She looked at me. No triumph in it, just 2 women who had done the math and would no longer round down. "Ready," I said. Alex raised his phone. We leaned in, not like conspirators, but like people writing their names in wet cement. Soft, permanent, ours. Every sound engineer knows the moment before playback, that single, suspended breath when the track could be anything. That's how it felt when I finally hit send. The photo left my phone in a blue bubble that seemed harmless. A caption followed. "Having a great time with my new friend. Turns out we have a lot in common." For 1 second, the strip's hum filled the room like a neutral frequency. Then the phone began to vibrate. First one call, then another, then 30 unread messages. Nora whistled. "Incoming." Tessa sipped her coffee. "Here comes the remix." I turned the phone face up. Ethan, 12:07 p.m. What the hell is that? Ethan, 12:08 p.m. Is that Tessa? Ethan, 12:08 p.m. Why would you? Ethan, 12:09 p.m. You're humiliating yourself. The messages escalated in tempo, tone climbing with each line until the words blurred into static. I let them come. "Don't answer," Alex advised. "You don't negotiate with earthquakes." We laughed, but under the laughter was something else. A collective recognition of what control looks like when it loses its audience. By evening, Ethan's panic had mutated into a performance. He called Alex's fiancée, Olivia, claiming the bachelor party had been hijacked by an emotionally unstable ex. Olivia, who'd never been his fan, simply texted me, "He's doing PR damage control. Proud of you." Tessa's phone lit next. "He's moved on to me," she said, reading aloud with dry humor. "Are you proud of yourself? You couldn't stand that I was happy again, so you had to poison her too." "Classic," she said. "He's rewriting the script while it's still rolling." I felt a flicker of anger, not just for me, but for every woman who's been told she's rewriting history when she's finally telling it right. "Let him talk," I said. "We're busy living." That night, Vegas became something almost mythic. The desert wind carried heat even past midnight. Laughter from the casino floated like glass beads over the pool. We'd planned to go club hopping again, but ended up staying in. Our suite transformed into a confessional/comedy club. Jake played bartender, pouring drinks with too much enthusiasm and just enough skill. Nora filmed us dancing to old pop songs, promising to make an edit titled Emotional Recovery Tour. Tessa and I sat by the balcony doors, feet bare, city light flickering on the glass between us. "I used to think if I just explained enough he'd understand," she said. "That if I spoke softer, or smarter, or angrier, something would finally click." "Yeah," I murmured. "You start negotiating your own decency like a currency." She smiled, small and tired, and then one day you realize silence costs less. A beat of quiet passed, not uncomfortable, just full. "You know," I said, "you were right about him caring more about optics. This photo's going to unravel him for weeks." Tessa laughed. "Let it. The truth can sound like mockery when you've built your life on lies." I clinked my glass to hers. To optics. May they haunt only him, she said. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a new number. My mother. Of course, Ethan had called her. Belinda, she began, voice low, concerned. Ethan says you're in some kind of spiral? That you brought his ex on a trip to humiliate him? I stared at the view of the strip, the fountains pulsing to a soundtrack of triumph, irony thick in the air. Mom, I said gently, if you're hearing his version, it's fiction. I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. She hesitated. He sounded so sure. Confidence isn't honesty, I said. I learned that the hard way. There was a pause, then a small sigh. I suppose we all have to. After we hung up, Tessa appeared in the doorway holding her phone. He's messaging everyone now, my coworkers, mutual friends, even my sister. Same story. We're conspiring, we're unstable, we're cruel. He's terrified, I said. You know what happens when you shine light on mold. She smiled grimly. It scrambles. By the second evening, the chaos started to morph into comedy. Ethan's panic had reached absurd levels. Apparently, he'd even tried to call the hotel, asking for me under a fake name. Jake and Nora turned the saga into a running joke, each impersonating a concerned Ethan voicemail with increasing dramatics. It was cathartic, healing by parody. Still, there was one message I hadn't deleted, the last one, sent just before midnight. If you think you can walk away from me after everything I've done for you, think again. That one I screenshotted and stored, not out of fear, out of documentation. The part of me that always keeps records was still on duty. On the final night, Alex insisted on a proper farewell dinner, a candlelit steakhouse, linen napkins, the works. Between laughter and dessert, Tessa's phone buzzed. She looked at me, half incredulous, half exhausted. You won't believe this. Ethan had posted a story online, a blurry selfie captioned, "Pray for people who get manipulated by bitter exes. Some of us tried to love broken souls." The table fell silent, then erupted into disbelief. Oh, come on, Nora groaned. He's doing inspirational victim content? Classic PR pivot, Jake said. The rebrand from toxic boyfriend to tragic hero. Alex raised his glass. To men who build their reputations on delusion, may their Wi-Fi fail at crucial moments. We laughed until tears replaced tension. Later that night, I stepped out onto the balcony alone. The city stretched beneath me, loud and alive, but for the first time, it didn't feel like it was performing. It just existed. Tessa joined me, wordless. We stood side by side, two women who had been told we were the problem, and realized together that survival could be solidarity. Tomorrow, I said, we go home. Yeah, she said softly, but not back. In the distance, fireworks bloomed from some stranger's celebration. Brief, brilliant, unnecessary. We watched until they faded. Back inside, I silenced my phone, tossed it in my bag, and crawled into bed. For the first time in months, I didn't dream about Ethan. I dreamed about silence. And when I woke, it was still there, calm, steady, mine. The desert looks different when you're leaving. Still bright, still endless, but calmer, like the city itself exhales once it knows you're gone. Alex's crew was half asleep on the flight home, sunglasses on, earbuds in, nursing coffees that smelled like survival. Tessa sat by the window, sunlight catching the edges of her hair. I caught myself thinking how odd it was, this peace born from chaos. My phone buzzed just before takeoff. Ethan. We need to talk. I can fix this. Please answer. Another followed. Ethan. You're making me look insane. I stared at the words, making me look. There it was again. The performance, the obsession with optics over reality. He didn't say I hurt you. He said I look bad. I powered the phone off. When I got home, my apartment was exactly as I'd left it. Neat, quiet, reliable. No emotional landmines hiding in plain sight. I brewed tea and unpacked, letting the silence recalibrate my nervous system. Then, because closure is an engineer's instinct, I drafted a single text. Belinda, I'll talk tomorrow. One call. No yelling. After that, I'm done. He responded instantly. Fine, tomorrow. The next day, I sat on my balcony, phone on speaker, recorder app open. Old habits. Documentation is a reflex now. Ethan answered on the first ring. His voice was oddly gentle, like he was trying out contrition as a second language. Bells, he began. The nickname I'd once liked, now grating. You really think humiliating me in front of everyone fixes anything? Humiliating you, I said evenly. You threatened to cheat on me. I went to a party. That's not the same game. He scoffed. You brought her to Vegas. Tessa, I said. You mean the woman you lied about, harassed, and kept as a ghost between us? You don't understand. I understand patterns, I cut in. I've seen your work. You build illusions and then get angry when people stop believing. He went quiet, then came the pivot. I loved you, Belinda. I get scared when people leave. That's not love, I said softly. That's control. Silence hummed on the line, heavy, vibrating like feedback you can't EQ out. Finally, he said it. So this is it? This is me choosing peace over chaos, I said. Goodbye, Ethan. I ended the call. No shouting, no tears, just the click of a clean cut. Then, because I knew what came next, I changed my locks. For the next week, Ethan spiraled in real time. He showed up outside my building once. I saw his reflection in the lobby glass before he saw me. He didn't yell or knock. He just stood there, phone in hand, rehearsing a conversation that was never going to happen. The doorman, kind and steady, asked if I wanted to call the police. I didn't. Not yet. Just took a photo, time-stamped it, and sent it to my attorney friend with the note, documenting, for safety. He began contacting mutual friends, his script evolving like a virus. In one version, Tessa had brainwashed me. In another, I was mentally unstable from work stress. In all of them, he was the misunderstood martyr. Nora texted me screenshots with the caption, "He's in his villain origin monologue phase." Tessa, ever pragmatic, sent, "He's unraveling because the narrative's gone public. Don't engage." I didn't. I muted him everywhere. Silence again proved louder than anything else. 2 weeks later, Alex and Olivia hosted a pre-wedding brunch. The kind of soft Sunday morning affair with white tablecloths and pastel mimosas that promised no surprises. I brought Tessa. By then, it wasn't even strange. When we walked in, people looked. Curious, cautious, supportive. The story had traveled, but so had the truth. Alex hugged me so tight my ribs complained. "You look free," he whispered. Ethan, of course, wasn't invited, but he'd tried. Olivia showed me the email he'd sent. "Just want to wish you two the best. I'll always care about Belinda, even if she doesn't see it now." Alex deleted it without replying. "No ghosts at this brunch," he said. We spent the morning laughing about the trip, the photo, the chaos. Tessa fit right in, as though she'd always been part of the group. Maybe she always should have been. At one point, I caught her watching the sunlight scatter through her champagne glass, that reflective stillness again. "How does it feel?" I asked. "Like someone turned off a sound I didn't realize was blaring," she said. I smiled. "Exactly." That evening, when I got home, a box sat by the door, my name written in Ethan's handwriting. Inside were my spare toothbrush, a sweater I'd left at his place, and a single note. "I hope you're happy with what you've done." I folded the note once, then again, until it was small enough to disappear. Then I threw it away. Not ceremoniously, just away. The silence that followed was the truest closure I'd ever known. Weeks passed. I worked late nights mixing a documentary score, rediscovering joy in the meticulous. The absence of chaos became its own kind of music. Tessa and I kept in touch. Brunches, voice notes, inside jokes about Vegas. We weren't bonded by trauma anymore, but by choice. That mattered. Then, one afternoon, as sunlight spilled across my workspace, my phone buzzed with a new message. Unknown number. "Hey, it's Ryan. I'm dating Tessa now. She mentioned you once. Just wanted to say thanks for helping her through all that stuff. She's amazing." I smiled. Some stories really do find a gentle ending. And yet, the universe wasn't quite done, because a week later, Olivia texted me a screenshot. Ethan had RSVP'd to Alex's wedding under a fake name. "He's relentless," she wrote. "Let him try," I replied. "He doesn't realize peace comes with security guards." We both laughed, the good solid kind that doesn't leave echoes. The countdown to the wedding began. I bought a new dress, Tessa confirmed her ticket, and the story that began with an ultimatum now headed toward its final act. Weddings are strange things. On the surface, they're about two people promising forever. But underneath, they're mirrors, reflecting everyone's version of love, loss, and what they think they deserve. Alex and Olivia's ceremony was held at a garden estate just outside the city. Strings of fairy lights wound through olive trees, tables lined with eucalyptus and white candles. It looked like the kind of peace people spend whole lives trying to find. I arrived with Tessa. It wasn't symbolic, it was solidarity. The guest list included every major figure from our shared chaos, minus one. Or so we thought. During cocktail hour, as guests drifted between champagne flutes and polite laughter, Olivia leaned in, whispering, "He's here." My pulse didn't spike the way it used to. "Ethan?" She nodded. Came with a +1. Told the planner he was a cousin of Jake's fiancée. Used an alias, Evan Ward. "Creative," I said dryly. Alex overheard. His smile didn't falter as he joined us. "Security's on it. They'll handle it quietly. You don't need to see him." "I think I do," I said. Tessa's brow furrowed. "Are you sure?" "Yeah," I said. "For the story to end, it needs an ending." He was by the outer garden path, glass in hand, wearing a suit that didn't fit quite right. For a man who once curated his image like a brand, it was almost poetic. When he saw me, something flickered behind his eyes. Shock, maybe guilt, maybe just the disbelief that the world kept turning without him at its center. "Belinda," he said, the same soft tone he used after every fight. "You look incredible." "I feel free," I said. His smile cracked. "You made me out to be a monster." "I didn't make you anything," I said. "You just finally ran out of mirrors." He laughed, short and sharp. "So this is your revenge? Parading her around? Posting that photo? Making me the villain?" "You wrote that part yourself," I said quietly. "I just stopped performing it." He opened his mouth to speak, but security arrived. Two calm, professional men who guided him away before the next scene could start. He didn't resist. He just turned once, eyes scanning me like he was still trying to locate the weak point that used to exist. There wasn't one, not anymore. The rest of the night unfolded like a film that finally found its rhythm. Alex and Olivia danced barefoot under the lights, laughing like they were inventing joy. Tessa and I clinked glasses at the edge of the dance floor, the air sweet with champagne and closure. "You okay?" she asked. "I'm better than okay," I said. "It's the first time I've watched something end and didn't want to edit it." She smiled. "You know, I never thought peace could be this ordinary." "It's my favorite sound," I said. 3 months later, peace became routine. Work thrived. I picked up a new project, sound design for an indie documentary about resilience. The irony wasn't lost on me. Tessa had moved on too. Her new boyfriend, Ryan, was kind, grounded, allergic to drama. She teased me about still being single. I told her I was busy falling back in love with my own life. We still met for coffee on Sundays. The last time she handed me a small envelope. Inside was a printed photo, the Vegas picture, napkin reading team boundaries, all of us mid-laugh. "I thought you might want the physical copy," she said. I smiled, proof that chaos can build something beautiful. A year later, Alex and Olivia's baby arrived. Tiny, loud, perfect. They asked me to be godmother. I cried, then laughed at myself for crying. Life had expanded quietly around me, the kind of expansion that doesn't scream, it hums. Then, one afternoon, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. Unknown. "Hi, you don't know me. I'm dating Ethan. He mentioned you. Should I be worried?" I looked at the message for a long moment. The old ache didn't return this time. Just clarity. I typed one word, yes. Then I set the phone down, stepped outside onto my balcony, and let the city noise drift below me, like applause fading after a show. Because that's what it was, a show, and I had walked off stage. Somewhere out there, Ethan was probably rewriting the script again. But that wasn't my story anymore. Mine was quieter, sharper, truer. And it started with 6 words I'd never forget. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. The echo had finally gone still.